How do you set up the looper in the HX Stomp? How do you use the looper? How long can you loop for? What's the difference between 1-switch looper, 6-switch looper, and shuffle? What are some things to keep in mind while you're using the HX Stomp as a looper pedal? Which version of the HX Stomp is better for looping, the XL or the normal HX Stomp? Should you use the HX Stomp looper or should you buy another looping pedal? I'm going to answer all these questions today, so let's get on with the video. First things first, I'm going to show you how to set up the looper on the HX Stomp. Now, I have an XL version, which is the 8-button version of the HX Stomp, but the process still works the same way with the normal 3-button HX Stomp. Oh, and I'm going to show you how to do it both on the machine and using the plug-in software, the HX Edit. That way, you know how to use it both ways, and in case you don't have a laptop nearby, you know how to do it on the machine as well. Okay, so if you want to set it up on your device, if you don't have a computer or you want to add it like on the fly, what you want to do is you have a basic, your basic layout right here. I'll go to hit View, and you'll get to this mode where it shows your signal chain, and basically just turn it, and I like to do it at the very end just for simplicity's sake, and then tap that in all the way down at the bottom, and you got your looper. Go ahead, I use mono. First, 1-switch, just because this goes for HX Stomp. 2, if you don't have the XL, you might not have the 6-stomp version or 6-switch version. So we're just going to do single version. Now from here, what you want to do is hold the page left and page right at the same time. And you get to this screen. And then you see bypass assignment. Go ahead and tap that. And then go ahead and move it over to foot switch 5. I guess this is switch 5, not switch 4, like I said earlier. And you can switch it anywhere. Oops. I already got out of there. So you can tell the clear ring is changing depending on where you put it. So I'm going to put it there for now. Then go ahead and hit the 2 pages again, and then hit View, and then get back in out of that. And then there you go. There's your single switch right there. Red means it's in record. Green means it's in playback. Orange means it's in overdub mode. And then if you double tap it and hold in green mode, you clear it. So now that's single switch mode. Now, if we wanted to do, say, 6-switch mode, since we have an XL, we go back over here, and honestly, all you have to do is switch, well, that's shuffle mode. There's your 6-switch mode. Go ahead and hit save. I'm going to hit save, and then go back. And then now you see it says 6-switch looper. So let's go ahead and press that. And now you have your undo, you have your half speed, full speed, you have your forward, reverse, your record, your stop play, and your 1-switch. So much simpler, I think, using the XL version, and you have that full 6 buttons, and you have all of this instead of trying to do it all with one stop. Now, if you do have access to your laptop or you're doing it at home, let me show you how you're going to edit that at home. It's a little bit easier, so let's go to the desktop version. So now we are in the HX Edit. It is super easy to add a looper. All you want to do is, you can see here's our signal chain. What you want to do is just come to the end here, scroll down on your tabs, and hit looper. Go ahead and grab the 6-switch because I think it's so much easier. And here you can adjust the playback speed, the overdub speed, volume, not speed, the playback and overdub volume. You can add some high cut and low cut. You can do this on the device. It's just so much easier here. And you just want to go up and hit File, Save, and you have it all set up. Other cool things you can do is assign the foot switch sections. Because I already have 1 through 3 assigned to distortion, the filter, and the delay, you can now put the looper to 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8. And since it's the 6th one, that just essentially means that that is the way to engage it. It will take you to the open looping platform where essentially the looper takes over the entire controls, and you can go off to the races from there. Now let's talk about the 3 different loopers on the HX Stomp. You have the 1-switch, the 6-switch, and the shuffle looping. Now, if you only have the HX Stomp, the one with the 3 buttons, you're going to want to buy an expansion switch patch bay, kind of like this on screen. That will give you more switches so you can enable the 6-switch looping option when you only have 3 switches. For me, I personally like the 6-switch option. It's a lot easier. I don't have to think about, oh, did I already overdub, or what's the command cue for, certain things. I know right there on the screen it says all 6 of what I need to know, whether it's speed up, reverse, overdub, play, stop, even the once pedal. I think it's so much better than the single switch version of the looping pedal. And as far as the shuffle goes, I think it's a gimmicky, kind of quirky feature. As far as like actually playing music and using it to practice, I think it's just kind of a waste. I don't see myself ever using it. So the HX Stomp can record up to 60 seconds in mono version and up to 30 seconds if you're using it in stereo version. Now that doesn't include different kinds of overdubs. I haven't put that to the limit, so if you know what the limit of overdubs you can do on the HX Stomp, let us all know in the comment section below. But as of right now, the maximum is 60 seconds for mono version, and that's what I usually use it in, just so I can get some longer practice sessions in that way. But what's interesting is if you're using the HX Stomp XL in half speed mode, you can record up to 120 seconds, so 2 full minutes. I don't know how that would work and how you can think about that, process that. But if you want to do it that way, 120 seconds in half speed mode. So there's that. And that goes up to 60 seconds if you're using it in stereo mode at half speed. So what we have is the one-click looper on switch number A or switch number 4, however you want to look at it. What we're going to do is start a jam, start a groove, get into the pocket a little bit, and then bring the looper in, and it sounds like this. Sounds pretty good. There's a little bit of overlap, but that's okay. Now, if you wanted to add like a bass line, you see the overdub once, and then add a bass line. It sounds like this. We know we're in overdub mode when the green light switches to orange. Orange means overdub, red is record on the first go round, and green is in play mode. So let's do another overdub. Nice little groove going. Add some distortion. Take a little lead. Sounds like this. Double tap it to stop it, and it is still there because I haven't changed scenes, I haven't done anything else. If I want to go back and solo over it, maybe with like a Mutron sound effect, I can just tap it once and it'll play again like this. Double tap twice and hold on the second tap, and it is clear. And that's the one tap method. Now, arguably the least useful, in my opinion, is the shuffling looper. Let's do a quick little shuffle loop like this. So it chops it up and it literally shuffles your loop. So what you can do is play around with the different slices, the sequence length, and the shuffle. So let's play around a little bit. It's cool. It's just not, I don't think it's very useful. So You know, it maybe comes up with some creative ideas, or maybe if you do it with swells. I'm not going to look into it much. I don't think it's very useful, at least in terms of my use case here. So here we have the 6 switch mode. This one is record. This is going to be stop play. This is going to be the once, undo, full speed, half speed, forward and backwards. And let's load down a little jam like we did last time. So clearly that's too long, but if I wanted to just practice the verses and solo over the verses, it'd be like this. Now, if I wanted to add some more effects, I just hit the mode button. There's your little boost. Go back into it. Simply hit the stop, and it's done. Now, it's still there until you re-record something over it in the 6 mode. So now let me show you what this once button does, because it is pretty cool. Let's record just a single note thing and use that in a kind of like a verse context. So every time I hit that once button, it'll go off. So that's kind of cool. It's useful, especially if you play a certain kind of music. I'm sure you can come up with more creative ways to use that once button. So here are some things to keep in mind when you're using the HX Stomp as a looping pedal. If you start a loop and you start recording and overdubbing over it, and then say you want to change a patch, the second you change that patch, that loop will stop and will be vanished and gone forever. You will no longer have access to that loop patch. It will not continuously playing over another loop, even if it has a loop block on that secondary patch. I've tried it both ways. It just simply doesn't work. So if you want a different sound to overdub on top of that existing patch, you're going to have to do it within the confines of that one single patch. So can you tune while the looper is playing? On the XL, yes, you can, because these 6 buttons right here, these are the loop buttons. And then here is your tuner and here's your mode. So you still have access to the tuner, and you can tune silently and have your loop going while the loop is uninterrupted. Don't have to worry about stopping and tuning. So that's a really cool feature. It's honestly why I like the XL version a little bit better. Another thing to keep in mind, that if you have your looper before some effects, the effects after the looper will be affected by the loop. So everything in the loop. So if you have like a delay after your loop, the delay will be added to your loop, and every overdub and everything that the looper is recording and playing back. So keep that in mind. I prefer to have my looper at the end of the signal chain just to avoid that nonsense, but keep in mind if you put a distortion or a delay or something after the loop, that loop will go through that effect and will be added on the playback. I know that's common sense for some of you guys out there, but keep this in mind. This is for beginners as well. And unfortunately, you can't save a loop. You can't export it. You can't save it to your hard drive to access it later. Only way that I can think of how to save a loop is if you record it in your DAW on your computer. Now, if you're only in one switch mode, you have to double click and hold the second click to erase the loop. Anytime you try to record over it, it will just add it as an overdub. Now, on the 6 switch version, that is not the case. Every time you hit re-record after it's playing, it will start a new one. And keep in mind, looping is kind of tricky. You have to get the timing down perfectly, so it's going to take a little bit of practice if you've never played with a looping pedal before. I personally recommend playing through what you want to loop a time or two beforehand so you're getting in a groove, and then just simply tap on the record button and then the stop button when you're done. That way there's not like a very defined stop and ending point where the loop starts and begins. So personally, I prefer the XL version of the HX Stomp, especially for looping, because you already have the 6 switches looping already built in. You have the record, overdub, the play stop, the once, the undo, the forward, backwards, and then you have the halftime, full time speed already plugged in. You don't have to assign anything like that to that nature. The HX Stomp is an incredible looping station. Whether you have the regular version or you have the XL version, you're going to get some great uses out of the looping station. If you have the XL version, you're set to go. If you don't, if you have the normal version, I highly recommend picking up some extra switches just to help program and make that a little bit easier on yourself. Check out this video over here. It's what YouTube thinks you're going to enjoy the most, and I'll see you in a future video. And until then, let the music play.